Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Geared Perspectives with me, Waldo. I know it has been a while. Taken about a month from making active content just because I've transitions at work and also working on those statistics, which pretty much killed my brain. So I took a break, and there also wasn't a lot of relevant content to talk about until recently. So I'm going to be getting back on that content horse and talking about the things that are happening within the Gears community as we're heading, towards the end of this year in Gears of War 4. Big topic right now is balancing of your community. If anybody has seen the action on Twitter yesterday, or at least through this weekend, Gears eSports put out some pictures that they had taken some competitive Gears of War players, both what they call the Gears 3 babies and the OGs out. Pretty good balance of the ESL pros that they had, and had them play testing Gears of War 4 in-house in the studio with Node Zero for another competitive balancing thing. Great thing, especially from someone who's not very excited right now about how competitive balancing is. It's good to get perspective from both sets of players, and it's great to actually see them being shown versus just like, oh, there was a secret council of players and we didn't want to show you who they were. Transparency is a great thing. Transparency is an even better thing in Gears because we've had none of it for years. So this is good. On top of that, we've got, they went out there, they tested the game, they got to enjoy Vancouver, which is good for them. I'm glad that they didn't just go up there and play the game the entire weekend, kind of a waste of a trip. You can get, usually within 8 to 10 hours, you should be able to get the game pretty much where I would think in a baseline for where you should be. On top of that, I think the people that got offended the most at this were the people in the casual community. They were talking about, why weren't we invited? They're completely focused on esports. Well, we kind of have to be. Esports is where the game's getting pushed, and if you don't push the game for esports, you're gonna have issues. There aren't gonna be people that are gonna be jumping all over and saying, hey, you guys focus on esports, but you guys didn't balance it for esports. It's still kind of bad. Yeah, you have to. At this point in time, they have to take the players out. They have to take them to the studio. They have to get the game in a good balanced form before the game drops. And this is a great thing. They took the initiative, they took the players out, and then they told us about it. A+ is all around the board for the coalition on this one, because they finally did something that's for the betterment of the game as a whole. And we've talked about this on other videos. You have to focus on the competitive end of the game because it's going to balance the game out to a T for everybody, and not be, well, why is this weapon like this? Why is this like this? We're fighting for skill gaps here. The skill gap in Gears has been this weird teetering. It's been broken. It's on certain weapons, it's really high. On other weapons, it's really low. You've got to just balance the crap out of it. And we need people that are in that 5%, because it's what I've said the competitive community makes up of Gears. Of active players, it's probably about 750 active players, casters, coaches, analysts. I think that would be great. On the other end of that, you've also got to be looking at, yes, 95% of the community is the casual community, and you have to, cater to them, but most of that community for years has been crying out for Horde Mode 3.0. And they finally announced that. They'll probably show some of that towards like San Diego Comic-Con or Gamescom or PAX Prime, just saying, like, there's plenty of time for that stuff to be shown off. Right now they need to get their escalation mode done to a T before the game drops, because there's a ton of titles at the end of the year that Gears is competing with, and you have to be better or equal to wanting to spend money versus Battlefield 1, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, Infinite Warfare, Dishonored 2, and a bunch of other games. Like, it's just ridiculous how many games are dropping all on top of each other. And Battlefield 1 is like right after Gears of War comes out. So that has to be taken into account. we want this game to be the most successful game on the market, it has to be the most balanced game on the market. Good call, bringing the competitive players out. Now, on top of that, this comes down to people's lifestyles and what they want to spend their time doing with Gears. And this is where the big clash happens. You either play the game for money or you make content for money. That's where the true separation in this argument comes from. We've made content for years and kept the game alive through content. We should have our own thing. We should be at the studio. We should be testing the game. We should have extra inside things so we can make content for our channel so that we can push the game out. Cool. Valid argument. You guys have been consistently making content for the game for years. You've been supporting the game 100%. On the same side, I've got the competitive players. We've been playing this game for very little money for many years to make sure that we could finally have an esport. And now we're finally getting that. Like, yes, both communities are right, but you have to realize that they're all going for the same thing, a successful Gears of War title. Now, while the focus right now is on the competitive end, it does not mean that the casual community has been forsaken or forgotten about. There are a lot of things that I think are dumb weapons that are still in the game because for the casual community, for that casual audience, for that shock and awe factor of weapons. Do I think they're balanced? No, but they're going to be there. And I think that comes down to the way that Gears as a community has been built up. We don't have a lot of talk show content. We don't have a lot of people doing opinion pieces. We have a lot of montage, commentary videos, that kind of thing over a lot of gameplay. There's not, it just is. It's very oversaturated. There's not a lot of tips and tricks videos yet. There's a lot of live streams that are starting to do that, but it's not to the point that it is in other scenes where people are developing new players as they're growing their user base. So that's really important. That has to be happening. On top of that, we're looking at the scope of the game. Gears has been very community focused, very casual community focused for 10 years. It has to be more balanced where it's at least 60-40 at this point. Because giving even though 5% is a very small percentage of your player base, it makes it so that if a casual player wants to move into the competitive scene, it's that much easier. The transition is like zero. There's no weird changes from going from a casual game to a competitive game. Still the same goals, still the same things. You just try harder and improve your skills, improve that you got it. It needs an easier transition in that sense. Now, am I going to be arguing for all the players to have this? Yeah, I'm going to argue what's best for the community as a whole. Do I think that we need everybody in Vancouver right now trying to balance a game for both sides? No, because there's different needs and wants for both sides of the community. It's not like the competitive is going to be like, yeah, we want the buzzsaw to be balanced out. We know it's broken. We know we're not going to use it. Why are we going to even work on balancing for it? The casual community is like, oh, this thing's awesome, Ricochet. Cool. It's a cool factor. But at the same time, you don't have to bring both audiences out at the same time. Bring one out, bring the other out. Eliminate a lot of conflict because they're going to have very differing opinions about how the game should be, and use the secondary one and take it in and then see where their ideas and things line up and see if you can tune some things into their perspective as well. I don't think that there needs to be this segregation between the two, and just understand we just want a good Gears game. If we have a good Gears game, it'll be successful. People will want to come back and play it. I don't think it's this big deal that they're focused on esports only. They better be focused on esports because they've been talking about it for a year and a half now. Like, they've got to show up and do it. So, yes, I understand that people are frustrated, but could be worse. With that being said, guys, this is my episode of Balancing Communities on Geared Perspectives. I will be making more content as there is more stuff coming out, and I'll be talking about doing an E3 Comic-Con episode here pretty soon. Like and subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter. I'll try to be doing some streaming stuff with the stats here someday, probably tomorrow. But if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, and keep on watching.